gosh, Agape is my main community, I guess. The people I live with now are the people, like, from my small group first year. Like, I remember meeting some of them my very first week at UVA.
I don't want to use the word, like, family, because that sounds too cliche, but something along those lines. Ever since, like, I went on that spring break trip first year, and since that point, I think it's been a community that kind of challenges me to grow and be a real person and, like, just be real with everyone.
My first year, like, you know, just a couple weeks into school, the Wham camp out, and I got invited out by the older guys. They just kind of, like, took me in right off the bat, you know. We're just became instant friends, and we hung out and had a lot of good times and heard a lot of awesome stories, and I just kind of got absorbed into this culture of guys that was really like one of the best things that happened to me.
And I think for me, Agape has been a real grounding point that's kept me steady in my faith and kept me challenged.
I became a Christian through Agape. I found Christ my first year, and so, I mean, I can't describe how much that means.
Where I've made a lot of really good friends and been a really good support network, especially my small group. That's really been the highlight of my 4 years.
The first week of school, when we first moved in together, we all lived in the same suite. I thought Evan was gay.
Me too.
We thought Dave was a pothead.
Yep.
Davis was,
And nobody liked me.
The first time I ever embraced Evan Krause, who I'm gonna marry, was at the 80s party. So that's what shoulder pads do to people. And he wasn't ready, and he was wearing mesh.
My first year, as I was on the New York trip, spring break trip, we all got back to the hostel to find out that one of the staff at the time, Johnny Reeve, had been hit by a car while crossing the street. And he was okay, but his butt had managed to crack the windshield of the oncoming taxi.
Funny story. This one time we were watching Celebrity Jeopardy, and it was the one where the punchline was Sean Connery bidding Buck Futter. And later on, I went out of the room, we'd been joking around, and I cruised back into the room, and I just kind of yelled, flipping those first two letters around, so F butter, essentially. And so it was kind of embarrassing because there were girls there and fiancés there, and it was just a wreck. So I was ostracized pretty well for it. And then the next day, Davis made it all better by we were watching baseball, and he was yelling at the pitcher with peanut butter in his mouth, and it sounded like he said, "Yeah, that's right, pitcher, F it." I'm not really sure what happened, but it was something in his mouth. And then we were ganging up on him for it, and he was like, "Yeah, well, at least I didn't say F butter," and he said F butter. And it was quite amazing, and we all laughed, and it made ourselves feel better. Basically, community's good, and live in an Agape house, and you'll have a better time in undergrad.
I know there's got to be more.
To get plugged in to a local church as early as you can.
To seek out somebody who's much older than you that can be a mentor.
To really put yourself out there. I know it's really awkward and uncomfortable, but it's definitely worth the friendships that come from it. But it's worth staying up late when you have a test tomorrow and going out for Frosties at 2 a.m.
Go to parties.
Be absolutely sure that we're pursuing Christ above all else, and loving Christ above all else.
Even though we know that we're all broken and we know that we all have struggles, we still like to hide that and like to make it look like we're okay, and a lot of times we're not. And usually it's surprising that when you share something about yourself, share something you're struggling with, someone else is going through it too.
Go to parties.
That God doesn't change the older you get. He's the one thing that stays constant in your life. And that was just a comfort to me the first time I'd heard that. And the second is that God is better at forgiving than you are at sinning.
Do not be afraid to make Agape your own, and not be afraid to say what you want. If there's something you want to happen, there's nothing stopping you from making it happen. If you don't know who to go to, who to talk to about it, talk to your small group leader.
Do a lot of service. Get involved with a service organization.
Do as much as you possibly can in these time here to get as close to God as you can. Learn as much as you can about God. This is where I learned the most about God in my 4 years here.
get to know people who do not believe the same things that you do.
Just find a balance between community and agape and community of people outside of agape. Because I know that it's really easy to do one or the other, but without the agape community, you can't really be able to spread Christ's love like you should.
Support is here, and you just sometimes have to seek it.
Go to parties.
Davis can fly me around places, but Dave can build me a house.
I would have to pick Davis because we spent pretty much every day of the past year together talking about agape.
It's me.
Davis.
I'm going to say Dave.
Dave.
I guess part of me just likes danger, and I'll go with the mysterious bald man who's had facial hair from time to time. It's really given him a lot of depth. So I'd say Dave.
Luke Bresnahan.
Stop it.